Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Prep Frenzy podcast. I'm Brayden, and this week I'm joined by Ryan, our new co-host on the pod. Tyler is unfortunately not able to make this first episode of our second season as we head into the 2026 football season. Ryan, why don't you tell the kind people at home about yourself?
All right. Just signed on with Prep Red Zone this spring. Been able to travel the state all summer long. I've seen a ton of talent. It's even better than I thought it was. And I knew we had some players in the mitten. We'd be able to get out there, see them, camps, all that good stuff. It's been awesome. So, going on 5 months here with Prep Red Zone. Super excited to get started here.
Yeah, I'm sure Prep Red Zone's very excited to have you. You've been doing good work there so far. Excited to see what's to come and excited to cover this season with you.
Awesome. Right back at you, man.
All right. Well, let's get right into it with some of our off-season news. This off-season, we had one big notable change, and that is the updated playoff format. Going into this season, we're going to see regional seeding, which is going to be seeding teams 1 through 8 rather than 1 through 4. And I think that it's going to be a pretty immediate benefit, at the very least, for the quality of teams that we see later in the playoff.
I think one big thing that we're going to see immediately out of the gate that people are going to appreciate is we're not going to get the big head-to-head matchups in the first rounds and knocking, teams that should be making a run and forcing one of those teams out of the playoffs early. So I think that's going to be a big notable change this year is we're not going to get those first round matchups for teams that probably shouldn't have been meeting until a regional final or even in some cases a semifinal. So it's going to be big.
Yeah, we're not going to be getting the Clarkston, Davison, and Grand Blanc all grouped up in one foursome anymore.
Right.
Those are the games that, as fun as they are, it's unfortunate for the teams involved because you might have a great season, really strong record. You might be, in the case of those 3 teams, 3 of the top ranked teams in the States as far as playoff points. And just because of where you were located, you get matched up with one of the toughest games in the first round and you're, going home after that first week.
Right.
Well, we're not going to get too far into that, but I do recommend that you guys check out Goose Poop at Goose Poop MI and look at his. He's got some good breakdowns of the 2025 MHSAA playoffs if they had done the regional seeding rule change before then. And he also has a good episode of his podcast where he breaks down the impact of this and, what it would look like.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Michigan high school football fan and you're not follow him, like, what are you doing? Give him a follow. He's fantastic.
All right. Well, that's our big off-season news item, but we also have some smaller things to talk about, like conference and division changes. We're going to go right from the top with teams going from D1 to D2, and that'd be Caledonia and Wayne Memorial. And in the opposite direction, from D2 to D1, we've got Portage Central, who we know won 12 straight games last year before they took the L to Orchard Lake St. Mary's in the semifinals.
Absolutely loaded Orchard Lake team.
They're a team that I'm curious if they can, compete. They were a team that last year my metrics loved. We saw them just dominate through most of the season, and they ran into the perennial buzzsaw at Orchard Lake. But if we take a look at them in D1, very curious to see if they can kind of keep that momentum in a little bit higher level of play.
Yeah. I'm curious to see, honestly, too, Caledonia sliding down to D2. That's a good-looking football team. Tons of talent there. Yeah. That team could really make some noise. So them moving down a division probably isn't great news for some teams either.
Moving on to D2 and D3. Dropping down to D3 is Battle Creek Central, U of D Jesuit, Dexter, Flint Carmen Ainsworth, Reeths Buffer, Oak Park, and Waterford Mott. From D3 to D2, we've got Greenville, Lansing Eastern, Schwartz Creek, and any of those teams that jump off the paper for you.
There's a couple of them. I really like this Reeths Puffer team. Cody Cater, former CMU Cincinnati quarterback, fantastic high school football player. Great offensive mind, though. Got a chance to watch those guys this summer over at Hope compete in a 7-on-7. They could be sneaky good. They've got some athletes on the outside, a solid quarterback play, and, Cody's going to have them put in the right position offensively to make some plays. So I think that's a team that, you wouldn't want to take them light on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Another team making that drop from D2 to D3 that has my attention is Dexter. Dreadnoughts were they were one of the two best teams in D2 last year, and curious to see if they drop down to D3 and they just dominate, or if D3 manages to stay competitive and they're battling with the best of them at the end of the season.
Yeah, and Dexter, again, fantastic coach team, always have players. It's a good looking football team.
All right, moving to D3 and D4. Dropping down to D4, we've got Adrian, BC John Glenn, Fruitport, Kanawha Hills, Hastings, Marysville, Owasso, and Stevensville Lakeshore. From D4 going up to D3, Harper Woods, BC Harbor Creek, Chelsea, Parma Western, and Wayland. For me, at least, team that jumps, that'd be Harper Woods. They were one of my favorite teams to watch last year. They were competing with teams that were, frankly, well above their weight class. So seeing them make a jump up to a little bit stiffer competition, I really want to see what happens, because, they're a team that I feel like they could be competing with anybody in D2 or maybe even D1.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you're going back to, the number one overall player in the state in the 2027 class in Dakota Grant, Oregon commit. You want a highlight reel. This guy's going to give it to you every night. Great supporting cast around him, too. That's a team that can be really, really dangerous this fall.
Yeah, and, opposite direction, we see a tough team like Kanawha Hills. They make that drop, and if I'm in D4, I'm a little concerned there, because that's a team that they're a tough out in D3 ranks. Not necessarily a team I'd want to be running into in the postseason.
No, and again, another one of those teams this summer I was able to follow quite a bit. Got a wide receiver committed to CMU, got a quarterback committed to Michigan Tech. You got London Hampton going to the University of Michigan. They've got talent for days over there, and that's a team I think is going to make a lot of noise this fall.
Yeah. One last team before we move on to our next set is Chelsea. Chelsea, currently coached by Noel Dean. They're a team that Tyler particularly took a lot of interest in last year, and I think he was kind of smart too. They were very competitive with just about everybody, and a team that seems to be on the rise, and moving up to D3 just kind of raises their potential ceiling.
Yeah, Noel Dean, fantastic. There's nothing else to say. This guy's a Hall of Fame coach. Mm-hmm. His days at Lowell, I followed Lowell very closely for a long time. And his teams, what you're going to get from them. You're going to get punched in the mouth by him every week. They didn't do anything fancy. They just out X and O'd you. And Noel's a great coach. As long as that guy's on your sideline, you've got a chance to win every Friday night. That guy is an exceptional football coach. And Chelsea can be dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. Going down to the D4, D5, we've got Crosswell Lexington dropping down to D5, along with Henry Ford, Detroit Lincoln King, East Point, Flint Powers, Redford Union, Redford Westfield Prep, and Godwin Heights. The other direction, we've got BC Penfield coming up to D4, along with Detroit Cody, Detroit Southeastern, Fremont, and Romulus. These teams that were dropping down to the D4, D5, getting to a little bit smaller schools. And, when you get down to some of these lower divisions, there's a little bit less difference between a D4 and a D5 school. So while there's going to be different playoffs, obviously, with teams mixing it up like this, I do get the feeling that a lot of these squads are going to be competing with the same schools in the regular season that they have been. I don't necessarily see a ton of shakeup with any of these. That said, you never know what a team like Crosswell Lexington might do once they drop down to D5. Are they going to just dominate the league, or is it going to be, less of a change than they'd expect?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is kind of in that area. You start, flipping a coin on some of these things. I will say I do like Godwin Heights. That's a team that probably a lot of people, have written off in past years. Got to lay eyes on those guys. Martellus Forrest, quarterback, lefty. That guy can sling it. And they've got some players on the outside. Like, that's going to be a team on Friday nights that, if you're not prepared, they will get you. They've got all the athletes you want on the outside. If the guys inside can hold up, they can get some good defensive play. Like, they're going to score some points this year. Again, watching them this summer, watching Forrest sling the ball, I mean, he can make all the throws. This guy's got a great release. The camp I was at made an absolutely incredible throw, 45, 50-yarder right into the corner of the end zone. I mean, only where his guy can make a play on it. This guy can sling the rock. So, he's going to challenge a lot of secondaries. So I actually sneakily like this Godwin Heights team.
Yeah, Godwin Heights, you get a good QB, you really raise your floor, and always enjoy watching a lefty QB.
Always. Something different about it.
Next, we've got from D5 to D6, Gladwin, Grant, Bullet Creek, Standish Sterling, and opposite direction from D6 to D5, Detroit Pershing, Ida, Reed City, and they are a team that had that close loss in the regional to Kingsley, and really should battle for the CSAA title once again. Be interesting to see if they're able to, compete at that next level in D5.
Yeah, out of this group, I think Reed City is a team that's continually, gotten better. They've got a bell cow running back in Jason Kopik. They run that T. It's tough to stop. They block it well. They'll make some noise without a doubt. I always think Gladwin, every year, they made it to the state finals a few years ago. Like, that program itself, they're going to be a fun watch, I think, again this year also.
Next, from D6 down to D7, we've got Clinton Township, Clintondale, Erie Mason, Niles Brandywine, and Pinconning. On the other side, from D7 to D6, we've got Clinton, Shelby, and Tawas. And mixed in here, we've got a couple of teams that are making jumps and drops over two divisions, with Royal Oak Shrine Catholic dropping from D6 to D8. And on the other side, we've got Muskegon Catholic Central jumping from D8 to D6.
Yeah, this group, I be honest, don't know a ton about them. With all the divisions moving, stuff like that, I assume, judging from the Spartan helmets, people think that I'm a Pinconning fan. Lots of Spartans, not that. But no, just some of those teams, moving up, moving down division, stuff like that, it could pay dividends for some of these teams.
Yeah. Some of these teams like Clinton and Shelby, Tawas, these are teams that, if not both of us, either Tyler or I tried to make a trip and check them out. But honestly, of these teams, the one that I'm most familiar with is Pinconning, a team that probably going to be better served in D7. Definitely been a bit of a struggle for them in recent years. Should be a little bit easier going for them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And last but not least, we have from D7 to D8, Beaverton, Burton Atherton, Detroit Leadership Academy, Detroit Loyola, and Saugatuck. Other direction, we've got from D8 to D7, Centerville, Sperria, and Vandercook Lake. These teams are, kind of the small end of the 11-man football leagues, but seeing schools like Beaverton and Detroit Loyola that, small or not, that they're usually competitive, solid squads. Always a little bit of an interesting shakeup when you are working with schools that small.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Again, Saugatuck, another one of those teams that have had some really solid teams. That could be a team to watch out as they move back down also.
Yeah, and not to, stay too quiet on them. We have that team from D8 to D6 in Muskegon Catholic Central. That's a bit more of a sizable jump, but a team like Muskegon Catholic Central that, they've got a high ceiling. They're a team that should be able to compete at that level, and they've got that new coach in Scott Fadrasi, and kind of interested to see what he's able to do with this squad.
Yep, and I agree. And again, bring in Fadrasi home, taking over his alma mater. He's going to put everything he's got into it to get those guys back to right that ship over there. And like you said, they'll have some players over there, so I definitely want to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, for sure. Next, we have a little bit of a new development here with the MI Game Day website. We have just launched the Team Talent Index, or at least by the time this show is published, it will be. This is a breakdown of team talent ratings that is not necessarily a perfect grading system for teams, but it does point us in the direction of teams that, might be worth watching, or teams that, we can look forward to watching in coming years as they develop their young talent. This rating system is based on the Prep Red Zone player rankings, and uses that along with some of my own formulas and magical little algorithms in there to spit out a rating based on the obviously the player rank in their class, as well as their position on the depth chart and their actual class year. So with that, just jump right in and take a look at our top 10. Going from the top, we've got Cass Tech, Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Brother Rice, Detroit MLK, Harper Woods, Saline, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, De La Salle Collegiate, Grand Blanc, and Detroit Catholic Central. Now, for me, the team that very quickly jumps off this list is Brother Rice. They're a team that we saw them particularly against Orchard Lake St. Mary last year. A very feisty team, scrappy team, able to compete with the best of them. And this kind of points towards why they're a team that they're young, but their core talent there is as good as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing when you talk about Brother Rice, you're going to talk about Jaden Bell. This guy's got an offer from everybody in the country, and there's a reason why, at 6'4", 6'5", 200 plus. The guy can do it all from the defensive end spot. Just a fantastic talent. He's the number one player in the 2028 class from the state of Michigan. And then they've got probably one of the better linebacking cores. I mean, in the state of Michigan, they got multiple players ranked very
Mhm.
high in that class. They're going to be solid. I like this Brother Rice team. They had that dip a few years ago, but that Warrior team wasn't going to stay down for long.
Yeah.
Excellent coaching over there, and now the talent's matching it. I would 100% agree. I think that's a team that, when you talk about the Castex and the Catholic Centrals and everybody, like, they belong in that conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at even, past 2028, their 2029 class, they have two of the top three players in the state, both skill guys at wide receiver, DB, and guys that are just going to be complete matchup nightmares. You paired those guys with a solid QB like who is it? They've got their Sam Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You pair them up with a pretty rock solid QB like that, and it's going to be tough to, do much of anything against. I mean, that's not even including Tyler Trussell in class 2028.
Right. I mean, Trussell, Christian Marshall, Cameron Law on the outside. And you talk about all the bigs inside, you got to win in the trenches, but man, these guys on the outside are the great equalizer too. They're playmakers. Quarterback just needs to distribute the ball to that group. Like, they've got playmakers all over the field, and his job's just going to be to spread the wealth a little bit and get those guys involved early. And yeah, they've got a chance this year.
Yeah, they're at the very least going to be an exciting team with that much skilled talent and probably one of the best pass rushes in the state.
Absolutely.
And looking further down this list, some teams that we're expecting to see there. We've got Castech, Orchard Lake, Detroit MLK, Saline. But one of the teams that jumped out to me again was De La Salle. They're a team that we're used to seeing loaded with talent, but these past couple of years, they really struggled, especially in the regular season, to kind of put it all together. Them being a top 10 team as far as talent goes this year, I'm very curious to see if they're able to kind of put it together and actually make something. We saw them last year towards the end of the season, into the postseason. They made quite a run, one that a lot of people weren't necessarily expecting despite their talent.
Right. Well, and you have a Division I quarterback. I mean, Grayson Thurston. I mean, 2028 kid. He's getting offers. This kid can play. And when you have a quarterback with his capability, I mean, you're in ball games, and they're not lacking for playmakers either. That De La Salle team, they'll put players out there that can catch a football. They competed really well this summer in multiple 7-on-7 camps and stuff like that. Like, they went out there and proved that that's a team that, they're going to make some noise on Friday nights. And in Grayson's, that guy, like I said, he can sling it. He's dangerous. He can make all the throws. So, you're never out of a ball game with a guy like that.
No, not at all. Guy like that, leading your team on offense, you're going to be able to compete with just about anybody at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely.
And moving on from that top 10, there's a few teams here that cracked the top 25 that I thought were a little intriguing. Starting at 11, we've got East Kentwood, Divine Child, Dakota, Belleville, Brighton, Heritage, Muskegon, Davison, Clarkston, Grand Haven, Kanawha Hills, River Rouge, Hudsonville, Walled Lake Western, and Romeo. Now, a team that definitely has my attention is this Grand Haven squad. A school that we know that they're competitive. We know that they're a solid squad, but seeing them crack the top 25 in my talent ratings, it's got me kind of looking and saying, okay, are they going to make some noise?
Yeah, they're dangerous. They've got a couple of excellent wide receivers. They've got a big tight end with a Division I offer that's only a junior. It's a dangerous football team over there on the west side of the state. They will make some noise. I think there's some teams probably, when you walk in on Friday nights, that maybe pound for pound, will be better than that Grand Haven team. But like I said, when you've got playmakers on the outside, they have speed for days out there. They've got a solid quarterback, and like I said, when you have a Division I tight end that's 6'6", that can go over the middle and just make plays, you're in games. And when that league over there, you're going to score some points. You're going to see some good defense, and they will score some points. If they can stop people, that Grand Haven team could be dangerous.
Definitely. And, another team I like to keep an eye on is Divine Child. They're a solid squad. We saw them last year. Obviously, they looked as good as just about anybody. Helmed by Drew Sheridan, lefty over there. One of our favorites, one of Tyler's favorites. Just
absolutely
really, really good QB. Number 9 player in his class. And they're a team
I 100% agree. That team didn't back into a championship last year. They've got championship DNA over there. Drew's going to want another one.
Yep.
So I think they're dangerous. Talent wise, they're still there. And like I said, we've got a guy that can sling it. You're in ball games.
Yeah, they are definitely a team with the DNA necessary to make a repeat run here.
Yeah. One other team that I find of interest, I really like this Brighton Bulldog team this year also.
Yeah.
They're sneaky in this little group with all the the bigger named usual suspects on this list. Brighton, I really like this team. You need to win in the trenches. They got Jack Carlson, the Michigan State commit at left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's getting better by the day. He's big at 6'7". He's going to be able to protect Dom DeAugusta, the quarterback over there, who's garnering tons of college interest. And they've got playmakers too. They've got a solid defense this year. I think offensively they're solid. That's just a good team. They're not going to beat themselves on Friday night. And I really like this team too. They're going to make some noise, and they're going to beat somebody that people probably don't think they should have beaten, and they're going to get somebody this year. I like them.
Yeah, they're a team that is coming back with a lot of really solid upperclassmen. Looking at their player ratings here, and I'm seeing that they've got 12 players who were ranked by Prep Red Zone, all 12 of them juniors and seniors. So definitely a well-led team, and a team that's
experienced group. Yep, very experienced group over there. Experience, it'll beat youth. So I like them.
Yeah. Kind of parsing the numbers here a little bit. I'd like to take a look here at our 2027 class ratings. So this is taking kind of that same process, but just looking at these teams that are heavy with seniors. And our top 5 squads we've got here: Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Saline, Detroit MLK, Belleville, and Detroit Catholic Central. And I wanted to call these teams out just because the one of most interest for me is this Belleville squad. We're kind of seeing the last players that were in that old regime that carried over, obviously led with top end talent like Trey Britton, but they're a team that you look at, they have 14 seniors that are ranked by Prep Red Zone, which that's a scary squad. I mean, regardless of position, regardless of where they rank, just guys that are getting attention and recognition of any kind like that tells you that they are a squad that I'm guessing a lot of them are feeling like they've disappointed a little bit the last couple of seasons, and now is kind of their last chance to go out and prove that Belleville is more than just that old coaching staff.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. They do have a little bit to prove, and I'm going to guess that team does have a chip on their shoulder. And, we're going to find out right out of the gate with Grand Blanc.
Yeah.
Talk about a team this summer that made some noise. Their Grand Blanc's going to bring it.
Yeah.
that night, and we'll find out a lot about both teams. But I do agree with you. Belleville's got some things that I'm going to guess they want to prove to some people. There's some doubters out there, and I'm sure they hear the whispers, and I'm going to guess that they're going to want to get out there and silence those critics quickly. Yeah, and then you're talking about like Trey Britton, at wideout. One of my favorite guys in the class. Really like the kid. He's just a playmaker. He's one of these guys that you just got to get the ball in his hands. I mean, he's shifty, makes people miss. This guy can hit a home run, on a jet sweep, bubble screen, anything, or he can take you deep. He's got incredible speed. The Missouri commit, you know, Drinkowitz knows how to recruit some athletes and some talents, and that wasn't a mistake getting that offer and him committing there. So I agree. Belleville, they're going to have a lot to prove, I think, this year, and I think that they're going to do a really good job silencing some people.
Yeah, I think that Belleville's going to be solid, and looking at some of these other teams that are pretty senior heavy. Saline coming in as the number 2 rated class. They've got just a pretty big influx of senior talent. They've got, obviously Luis Esposito as their anchor on the offensive line, but, you add in with that Bryce Barberino, just really good linebacker.
Yeah.
And then,
absolutely.
Right, Grand Valley commit, Cruz Hansen. And then you put the squad with a young QB in Case Campbell, who comes in from Orchard Lake St. Mary, guy with a U of M offer. That's a squad that has a pretty good mix of talent with that senior leadership. And we've seen them compete with the best of the best these last couple of years. Doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon.
No, they've got, I think probably pound for pound, you could probably make the argument Saline will have the best secondary in the state of Michigan. They've got multiple players that are highly ranked. When you have a good secondary, and then they've got, you've got Dawood Issa, defensive end. He's ranked 36 in the prep red zone rankings for the 2027 class. But that guy is an absolute dog. He's going to put his hand in the ground, and he can explode. He'll wreck some formations this fall. And like you said, Barberino guy hits like a Mack truck. I really like this Saline group, and now with Campbell sliding over there, they're dangerous.
Yep, and some of these squads, taking a look here at dropping down, our number 9 rated team with the senior class is Grand Haven, a team I already mentioned. Pretty feisty little squad there. They're a team that has quite an uphill battle. They're playing in the OK Red, one of the toughest conferences in the state. But this is a senior group that can make some noise. And if they can come out on top in a conference like this, going to be a very good milestone for Coach Biden Bender over there.
Yeah, that conference is unforgiving. I mean, you don't get a week off. You get beat, you better buckle up your chin strap, because there's a Hudsonville coming right behind them. There's an East Kentwood coming right behind them. There's a Granville coming right behind them. There's a Rockford coming right behind it. So that is unforgiving. That division, that conference, it is tough. But I do agree. I think Grand Haven is one of those teams that, like I said, they've got some players. They're dangerous on the offensive side of the ball. They've got a ton of team speed. They're a dangerous squad. So I agree to your point on that.
Yeah. And, in the OK Red with them is one of my teams that is showing as one of the strong younger classes. That's East Kentwood. This is a team that they're pretty senior heavy, but they have that top end talent in the class of 2029. They've got, up and coming QB in Jacoby Gasper. They've got Antonio Ants and Maurice Sterling. Maurice, just an absolute animal on the offensive defensive line. And, they're coming in, obviously, not without Kate Kaufman, but a team that has a lot of the pieces to compete in a very difficult but frankly wide open OK Red.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really high on this East Kentwood team. They've got a little bit of a gauntlet early in the year also, so we're going to kind of find out, they're going to get their metal tested a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'll be over covering the East Kentwood Byron Center game week 2. That's a solid Byron Center team over there. Like it's East Kentwood, but to your point, they've got some players, both sides of the ball. They don't lack for talent. Great coach over there. They're going to be a fun watch, and I actually, probably gun to my head right now, probably am picking East Kentwood to win, their division, win the conference this year. I know that, there's a million things that can happen, but I'm having a hard time not picking that group to win it.
Yeah, they haven't done a whole lot to dissuade that. At this point, they're a team that looks like they've made that turn. They're one of the teams that we can say they've reached the level of elite, and they're less of a team, more of a program. We're seeing a team that looks like it's built to stay.
Agreed.
Looking throughout our young talent, another team that really jumps out for me would be St. Joseph, a team that, Tyler and I have talked about them before in seasons past, that, they have talent, they have good coaching, but they just seem to always be missing just one little thing, especially come postseason. They're a team that has a very high ceiling in the postseason, and they seem to fall just a little bit short. And these guys now coming in with 3 ranked players in the class of 2029 that are all within the top 150. They've got a couple of solid guys in the class of 2027. They're a team that has pieces, and they can compete. I'm very curious to see if this is kind of the year that they finally kind of come through and don't have that little stumble late in the season.
Yeah, I did get a chance to watch them this summer in some 7-on-7 stuff like that. They're kind of the great unknown to me. You watch them; they've got some players. Love the running back, stuff like that. But you're kind of right. In these years past, they've been good, but they stumble. And is this year they get over the hump? And it makes some noise. I think it is. I really like the way they compete. Those guys play hard. They're coached well. It's a fun little group down there. Everybody kind of forgets about that little pocket down there in the the southwest side of the state there. But that's St. Joe's team. They can play.
Well, last team I want to touch on here is our friends over in River Rouge. This is a squad that they're pretty good mix of kind of senior, junior, sophomore talent. Notable player on their roster is 2029 QB Bryce Jackson. He's the number 6 ranked QB in his class, number 35 ranked player in his class overall, and a guy that we don't know a lot about yet, but is currently positioned to helm a very strong squad that looks to have some talent that's going to be around for a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely a young squad. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I haven't had a chance to see much of Bryce at quarterback. Tyler, very high on him. I haven't had a chance to see him a whole lot, so I don't know, the intricacies of his game necessarily in and out. But that River Rouge team is a pretty talented group. He's a talented quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They've been, kind of up and down and stuff like that, and that's a proud program over there. That Panther team. They don't want to go out quiet.
No.
So that they've worked this offseason, and now, like you said, when you have Bryce leading that offense, and you've got a capable quarterback that can make plays for you, it'll be an interesting watch this fall to see what this River Rouge team does.
Yeah, you pair him up with a weapon like Jeremiah Cross, and that's going to be a tricky team. Like I said, a team that I think is going to be around for a couple of years and give some of their opponents over there a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here on the Prep Frenzy podcast. As always, I've been Brayden at MI Game Day.
And I am Ryan at Prep Red Zone. Do want to give one shout out to my guy over at Freeland, Mike Selfridge. Thanks for the helmet. Don't want that to go unknown. So appreciate that. If anybody else wants one, get with me. We'll get them displayed on here. And it'll be a nice little talking point for your group too. So.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, Ryan. Looking forward to covering the season with you. And next time we speak, hopefully we will have the long lost Tyler rejoining us.